Okay, so my name's Alex Phillimer. I'm the Marketing Communications Manager with the Farming Community Network, and I'm here with James Chapman. Thanks very much for your time today, James. And James, when you're a Nuffield Scholar, when was your scholarship year?
So I'm a 2016 scholar. Seems like a long time ago, but actually, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that long ago.
Absolutely, thank you. And today we're talking in relation to a project that FCN's working on with the Nuffield Farming Scholarships Trust and Focus Farmers, where we're talking to Nuffield scholars. And the overall theme, I would say, is thinking about the future of the industry, planning ahead over the next few months as the industry experiences change in all sorts of ways. And the focus of today's talk really with James is on planning for the unexpected, which is something that I think a lot of members of the farming community would resonate with. So my first question to you, James, would be if you could perhaps give a bit more of an introduction to yourself, and then tell us a little bit about the sort of farm work that you do personally.
So I manage a smallish arable farm here in Warwickshire. We're about just short of 500 acres. We're all arable, apart from a few pheasants. I try to leave the livestock work to people who work a bit harder than me. We're all combinable crops. It's all just wheat, oilseed rape when it grows, beans, and things like that. So relatively easy operation, certainly for somebody of less ability, shall we say.
And in relation to today's theme, which is on planning for the unexpected, would you be able to talk a little bit about why that theme perhaps is important to you, or what that means to you when you hear about having to plan for unexpected things happening on the farm?
I mean, there's a lot of things. Planning for the unexpected is almost a bit of a it doesn't make much sense because it's unexpected. So how on earth can you plan for it? In my situation, I never even thought when I went to work in 2005 on the 21st of January 2005. I never once thought that I'd come home without my left arm. So that was a real difficult thing to plan for, and obviously I didn't plan for it at all, and so the surprise that ensued was quite hard. But I suppose that's then led me on to not so much planning for the unexpected, but being able to grasp opportunities when they arise. So every opportunity that has come my way, a positive opportunity, after my accident, I've grasped it with the one hand that I have left. Which then led me on to some great things. I think it's sometimes a bit of my downside, I think, is that I can't say no to some things. But as I said, that's led me on to some pretty amazing things as well, whether that be through young farmers, NFU, working with HSC and Yellow Wellies, and then even onto my Nuffield scholarship. It was all because of when an opportunity arose, I grabbed it. Difficult to plan for, but maybe on the grand scheme of things, planning for taking opportunities when you can is probably the best advice I can give.
So it sounds like in your situation, obviously, very, very, very unfortunate that happened to you. For those who perhaps don't know kind of exactly what did happen, would you perhaps be able to just tell us a little bit about your accident?
Yeah. So as I say, I went to work for a friend of mine. It was only a quick, rang me up the night before and could you give us a hand sort of phone call. Which of course I did. I went to work doing a certain task which involved using a shredder in a green wasting, but the machines wouldn't work, and frustration was building between myself and my friend who I was working for. And he basically just asked me to go and get a tractor and a slurry tanker and start emptying some water. And I cut a long story short, the PTO shaft on the slurry tanker was partially guarded. I knew that because I put it on, but carried on using it anyway. I got too close to it when it was working. My jumper, my favourite jumper in the whole world, got entangled in the PTO shaft. It took me in, snapped my arm off, and spat me out the other side. And that's basically, you know, there was a load of other stuff after that, skin grafts and a little bit of I don't know, I think it was probably a little bit of depression, but I certainly suffered a little bit in my own mind, probably 12 months after. But then that's when my friends sort of picked me up and dragged me back into society, if you like, and that's when my career with young farmers started. I became county chairman, area chairman, and then eventually I was really delighted to be asked to be a national chairman. And then that just doors kept opening for me, and I just kept walking through them. So I'm very fortunate. I've had a really happy ending to my story, if you like, and I know that that's not the same for everybody, and I know that my accident isn't unique either, and there's a lot of people like me that unfortunately don't have the opportunities that I've had, but I'm very fortunate, and I tell everybody, you know, I'm quite happy to tell my story to whoever sit and listen.
And for you personally, James, I mean, obviously, again, it's very terrible that this happened to you, but it sounds as if there was some good things came out of it, in a sense. You know, it got you involved in projects that you perhaps wouldn't have got involved in before, and now you're an ambassador for all sorts of causes, aren't you? So perhaps if you could just tell us a bit about some of the things that you get involved in.
Yeah. So as you say, I was helped by a lot of people and a lot of different things. The first thing that helped me was the air ambulance who came and picked me up. They were delightful and took me for a free ride in a helicopter, which didn't really help because they strapped me down to a board and you can't actually look out of it. So the amazing work that they do, I'm a big supporter of anything to do with air ambulance around the country. I was helped a lot by RABI. They helped me financially. I was struggling quite a lot. I had tractor payments. I had things to live. Luckily, I was still living with my dad. And then when I needed extra things in the house to help me be a bit more independent, RABI came to my assistance and helped with a few things around the house, which was fantastic, and forever be indebted to them. Young Farmers obviously was then Young Farmers as a whole, the organisation raised money for me to help adapt my car. My friends that came from Young Farmers helped me also by raising money, but more than that, more than any of that, they helped make me normal again, if that makes sense, and they dragged me, not so much kicking and screaming, but dragged me back into reality and give me a kick up the bum that I needed, and just to get on with life. And actually, you know, that anything that I can do to help any of those causes and raise the profile for them, I will do gladly, because they've, you know, helped me immensely.
And perhaps when you reached your lower points, when the accident first happened, and then perhaps even now when you have those off days, how do you personally sort of stay positive and optimistic on the farm? What are some of the things that perhaps you do to keep that positivity?
Yeah, I'm lucky that I'm a good-looking chap, and that my shining personality has helped me get through things. But I wish that was true. What gets me through it? My disability isn't the one thing that gets me down anymore. I'm very, very lucky that it was my left arm, and I can still do everything with my right hand, and it sort of, and it still feels like it's there, so I don't miss it. So that helps me get through it. Having a wonderful family and everybody around me, that also obviously helps. The farming stuff, actually, I find harder. when things aren't going right, like last year, whether it be weather related, I'm trying to go down a different route, which is probably is becoming more trendy. Trying to do a bit more conservation ag sort of things. And it's great when you get something right. It's fantastic. It's a really great feeling. But then when you get something wrong, and especially for me because it's somebody else's money that I'm playing with, and so I feel quite responsible for that. And they are the harder things to cope with, and I do struggle quite a lot with not so much feeling depressed, but feeling like I've let somebody else down or that I've not done something well. That can be difficult. I'm lucky I've got a good boss, and she's very understanding. She'll help. Don't worry. We'll sort it out. We can manage. Don't panic. The support of my wife, she'll tell me to stop bothering. Why are you worried about that? The best thing about farming, though, I suppose, is the fact that every year we get to sort of reset and go again. And there's always going to be things that are thrown at us, whether it be weather, finances, politics, stuff that we can't do anything about. You do have to remind yourself of the things that you aren't in control of. There's not too much point in worrying about them. Worry about the things that you can control. And at the end of the day, the world will keep on revolving, whether you've had a bad day or not, and you just have to take hold of the good stuff. Coming home and giving my daughter a hug is fantastic. Having only relatively recently having a child, so that sort of puts it all in perspective. Puts it in the bigger scheme of it. So I'm very lucky, but it is difficult to stay positive sometimes.
But it sounds like, with that in mind, you've spoken there of family, you've spoken there of friends, the wider community, getting involved in things like young farmers clubs. So it seems to be that you've got a good network there that helps to support you. And if you do have those down days, so to speak, that you have people you can speak to, and you have the things in your life to remind you of what's really, really important. Correct?
Yeah. I'm very lucky that I've got a lot of people around. In your young farmer days, you find there's a lot more people around, and so as you get older, actually, you go out less, and my network, if you like, is smaller. But there is people out there. There's always somebody to listen to you, and I think half of the time, whenever you're feeling down about something, and it can be anything, the worst thing in the world is thinking that you're on your own about these things and having nobody else to talk to. So it's really, really difficult. But we're, as humans, we're social animals, and we like that social interaction, which obviously in the current situation makes it even more difficult because you can't have that face to face. So I think anybody who is struggling needs to find that somebody to reach out to, whether it be even if it's only on social media or on a farming forum, or just picking up the phone and having a chat with your neighbour. That these things are really ingrained within us as humans, as we need to have that social connection, and that is how we support our own mental health as well as others.
And just on that mental health point, do you feel personally that mental health is something that some of the stigma in the farming community is perhaps starting to go? Do you think people are becoming more open about it, or do you think there's still work to be done in that regard?
There's always going to be work to be done. At the moment we stop talking about it and giving acceptance to problems like that is when it then becomes a problem again. I was really surprised. I'm a trustee for the Yellow Wellies for the Farm Safety Foundation, and when we first talked about doing the Mind Your Head campaign and talking about mental health in farming, I thought that was going to be a much harder thing to approach than farm safety was, and we get enough pushback on farm safety as it is, and I thought that there's no way we're going to get much traction with mental health, but I was 100% wrong. the amount of people who actually came out and said, yeah, you know, I've got problems and we need to talk about this. And I thought the macho image of the industry would downplay all of it, and that we'd never get anywhere. But actually, we've opened up Pandora's box, and everybody is happy to talk about it, or seems happy to talk about it. And actually, that's a fantastic thing. And it probably helps that it's not just a problem within farming. It's not like farm safety is only a problem in farming. Mental health in farming is a problem. Mental health. It's a can be an issue in all men, and certainly of a certain age as well. So that maybe helps. We've got national coverage, national traction. I'm really positive about it. I think we've come a long way in a short time, and I think that the doors are open to keep going further. So I'm quite positive about that.
And just to sort of wrap up, I suppose then, in relation to mental health and other kind of things as well, if you could give a message to other farmers, farm workers, about perhaps if they're going through a tough time, or if they are feeling that that it's hard to plan ahead and they're struggling to know, and particularly obviously at the moment there's lots of changes in the industry coming and they might not necessarily know how to adapt to them. What advice would you give to people listening to this interview in relation to staying positive through all this change that's coming?
You're never on your own. Whatever you think you're going through and you think it's unique, you're not. Everybody, as much as you'd like to think you are, you're not unique. Everybody, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee the majority of people are thinking it. So if you're worried or concerned about something, go and try and talk to somebody about it, because you'll all of a sudden you'll find that everybody else is going through the same thing. Like I said earlier, concentrate on the things that you can influence. So things that you go through every single day, whether it be feeding your livestock or checking crops or whatever it might be, concentrate on doing your job as well as you can, as well as you want to do. The things that are outside our control, politics, weather, things like that, there's only so much we can do. So try and put them to one side. Farming will always carry on. Agriculture will always be there, no matter how people might try and stop it or feel like they're trying to put barriers in our way. Certainly politically, we've always found a way round things or over them, or actually when it comes to it, it might not be as bad as perhaps people have portrayed it to be. So try not to worry too much about the things that are down the road that far, that and people don't actually know where it's going to happen, what's going to happen. So just focus on the now, focus on the things that you can worry about. But I can guarantee the industry will still be there after all of this has been blown over, and in 10 years' time we'll all be saying, what was there to worry about? And actually, okay, it might look slightly different, but we evolve. We always have done, and we always will do.